Asherah, most people have never heard of her, yet her name once stood beside Yahweh's. Asherah wasn't a demon. She wasn't an enemy of Israel. She was worshipped, respected, revered, and for a time, possibly even married to the God of the Bible. To understand how that could be possible, we need to go back to the early days of Israelite religion, long before the rise of strict monotheism. In ancient Canaan, where Israelite culture emerged, Asherah was a major mother goddess. She was associated with fertility, life, the sea, and sacred trees. Her worship wasn't some fringe cult. She was a central figure in the broader Levantine pantheon. In Ugaritic texts from the city of Ugaritic, Asherah is called Lady of the Sea. She is the consort of the high god El. She gives birth to 70 divine sons. She intercedes between gods. She is wise, powerful, and maternal, not a seductress, but a stabilizer. Her iconography often includes trees or wooden poles, symbols of fertility and divine presence. These are the Asherah poles the Bible later commands be destroyed. But here's where it gets interesting. El is widely believed to be the original head of the Canaanite pantheon. And in early Israelite texts, Yahweh and El were not always separate. Over time, Yahweh absorbed El's identity. And if Yahweh took El's place, did he also inherit his wife? Archaeological evidence suggests the answer might be yes. In the Sinai desert, at a site called Kuntilat Adrud, inscriptions from the 8th century BCE contain the phrase, "Blessed be you by Yahweh of Samaria and his Asherah." Let that sink in, his Asherah. This isn't an isolated case. Inscriptions from Khirbet el-Kom mention similar pairings. Pottery, inscriptions, and iconography point to the possibility that Asherah was not just tolerated, but honored alongside Yahweh in everyday worship by ordinary Israelites. This wasn't underground heresy. It may have been the norm before the rise of centralized monotheistic reforms. The Hebrew Bible, as it exists today, was written and compiled during and after those reforms. But it wasn't written in a vacuum. It was shaped by a desire to unify identity, solidify theology, and control power. That meant removing rivals, including divine ones. So what happened? By the 7th century BCE, under King Josiah, a sweeping religious reform took place. The goal? Purify worship, eliminate idols, centralize religious power in Jerusalem. The temple was stripped of foreign symbols. High places were destroyed. Sacred groves, where Asherah was often worshipped, were torn down. The Hebrew Bible reflects this shift. In books like Kings and Chronicles, Asherah poles are described as abominations. But they're mentioned over and over because they were everywhere. The prophets railed against Asherah not because she was unknown, but because she was deeply embedded in the culture. The people didn't forget her easily. She had been part of their religion for generations. Even in the Bible's condemnations, there are clues. In 2 Kings 21, King Manasseh sets up an Asherah in the temple. In 2 Kings 23, Josiah orders it removed and burned. If she was never part of worship, why is there a need to purge her? In earlier Israelite religion, Yahweh may not have been alone, and Asherah wasn't a threat. She was family. In fact, some scholars believe the Shekinah, the feminine presence of God in later Jewish mysticism, may be a distant echo of Asherah's lost divinity. Others point to Sophia, the personified wisdom of God in Proverbs and later Christian texts, as another remnant of suppressed feminine divinity. So why erase her? As monotheism became law, female divinity became dangerous. A feminine partner implied partnership, plurality, negotiation. That couldn't stand. Yahweh had to be alone, sovereign, singular. So Asherah was rebranded, not as false, but as forbidden. Her statues were destroyed. Her name was scraped off inscriptions, and her story was buried. But not completely. We still find traces of her in broken pots, in band names, in the Bible's own grudging references. We see her in the obsession with cutting down sacred trees, even when no name is given. We see her in the fear of something older and more equal. We also see her absence echoed in the shape of what came after. In a religion that once included a divine feminine, the loss of Asherah left a vacuum. Over time, it was filled in other ways. Mary in Catholicism, Shekinah in Kabbalah, the Holy Spirit in more feminine interpretations. None were direct replacements, but all show that the hunger for balance never fully disappeared. Asherah didn't vanish, she was removed. And once you know where to look, her absence becomes one of the Bible's loudest silences. Want more stories of ancient gods and the edits that reshaped them? Stick around. There's a lot more to uncover.